I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought you on the show.
I hate the Phillies, man. Don't let it go back to Atlanta. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about it. Don't let it go back to Atlanta. Better win tomorrow. Y'all doing the tomahawk chop out there? Okay. That's fine. Whatever.
Hey, there's a lot of Braves, Jake. There's a lot of Braves fans in Louisiana too. I mean,
I know that. They're the SEC's team. Are you kidding?
They are.
Like the Braves are 100% the SEC's Major League Baseball team. We squatted. You want to know what's scary? You really want to know deep down? Like I don't get scared by the doll on The Conjuring or any of that stuff. You know what's scary? When Auburn, Alabama, and LSU and Georgia fans come together to root for the same team, and that being the Atlanta Braves. Like that's like imagine that everybody getting together. I mean, that's like the bar in Star Wars where everybody just from everywhere else just getting together. No, don't let it go back to Atlanta. I'll give Aaron Nola his flowers though. He did good.
One of the best dudes. By the way, Jake played college baseball. Jake, I saw him. This is no exaggeration. At Alex Box from the foul pole in left field, throw it long tossing to the intimidator. Like the dude, that's all he does. He's sick. All right.
Well,
James.
Some guys pitch, some guys play ultimate frisbee. I mean, he's out there playing ultimate frisbee. If we're gonna be honest, with that cabbage coming out of the back, it's worth an extra strikeout and a half. That's proven science. Ask John Brinkus. Just ask him. We know him.
Jay Crain and Company from Daily Wire. What's up, buddy? I'm glad that you were here with us. So listen.
Yeah.
Goofy game this week. I listened to you. You were like, and your show this morning, you said that this game feels like the kid that plays with insects too much.
It's that weird kid puts mayonnaise on his hot dog. Like he'll eat anything you ask him to, too. You'll be like, hey, eat this, and he'll do it. Like it just, I don't know. It's just weird.
We got barn burning. Okay, we got earthquakes. We have Les being fired. We have Cam Newton going off.
Okay, the interception game.
The interception game, DJ Chark, a lot of massive games between LSU and Auburn. But, Jake, I got to go one place. I know Auburn has struggled offensively, and I get it. But, my goodness, they are running the football at an effect. They're the 20th team in the country in rushing offense.
Yeah.
Can't they find something this weekend against LSU?
Well, look, I mean, Auburn's a one-trick pony. It's a hell of a trick. Like, it's a great trick, but they're a one-trick pony right now. I mean, they haven't thrown for over 100 yards. Against the last 7 Power 5 defenses that they've faced. And look, you're not going to put that all on Hugh Freeze, obviously. This is the worst team Hugh Freeze will bring into Baton Rouge. This will be the worst team. And I'm not trying to knock the players. This is just how it is. If you look at the way recruiting's going. But here's where I'm worried. I'm not worried about the scheme, right? You know, I think Auburn's going to get into a decent amount of 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s. Can they throw the intermediate passes and catch them? Here's what would worry me as an Auburn guy. I watched Peyton Thorne go out and play at Cal, okay? What great. All right. Went and watched him go play at Texas A&M at like 11. Okay. Not great. Did just honestly, like I said, and he looked a lot tougher against Georgia, but turned it down a lot, in my opinion. If you think that's bad, if you think going to Cal is bad, where they're all out there studying and stuff, and then go to Kyle Field where it's nuts during the day, going into Baton Rouge, so what I say in the show, it's basically like Mordor. It's like there's just orcs being born in the mud when you're walking in the stadium. Like that is not a friendly environment to play. I know Auburn won the last time because Bo Nix just, did his best Chris Angel Mind Freak impression about 3 or 4 times. But I don't know if Peyton Thorne's going to be able to throw the ball for any success. And I know that's crazy to say with this LSU defense, but if he shows up, Auburn will move the ball. I'm not deep down, if it goes good for Auburn, worried about Auburn moving the ball. What I'm worried about is Auburn doesn't have a pass rush.
Right.
The only way they get pressure is if they bring pressure. And if you do that against Jayden Daniels, you get those man matchups, unless it's a fire zone. You can't just keep everything underneath all night because they'll catch the ball and run for 70 yards with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. But you bring pressure, play man in the back end where Auburn's secondary is really good. I don't care how good your secondary is. If you can't get there and you've got to cover these guys for 5-6 seconds, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter. So to me, I'm more worried about Jayden Daniels, not only in the pocket, but, going whose line is it anyway outside of the pocket and just improvising. I don't know how you can stop him without a pass rush. I don't know.
And look, Ron Roberts is a guy who, he had his own DC, was at Alabama, and Pete Golding. Yep. I mean, he was the head coach at Southeastern. When I left, he was coming in. And look, with a bye week, Jake, I don't know what he'll do, but what I have seen him do against mobile quarterbacks in the past, do you remember the 19 LSU Auburn game when Kevin Steele went like 3-2-6?
Yeah, he's like, we're going to rush 2. and really by 2, I mean Derek Brown, because he counts as 2 people.
Correct. But he's done that in the past. I do wonder I do think it's going to be an interesting matchup there. But you brought up an interesting point today, I think. Maybe it wasn't today, but I remember listening to you and you saying this. You like LSU's offense as a whole better than USC, like some of these other offenses. What have you seen from them that other than Jayden Daniels? Because I know he's a big part of it, but even the running game, I think, is what you were trying to allude to, correct?
It's everything, right? Like I legitimately right now, I think the 2 best offenses in college football overall are LSU and USC. And if I had to pick one of those, I would pick LSU because I think their offensive line's better. And I'm not saying this, I'm coming on an LSU show. I've said this on my show. I've said this on multiple shows that I've gone on. LSU has everything, and they realize they're the only hope right now. That's a dangerous thing. Like when one side of, especially when it's the offensive side of the ball, like if you're bad on offense, eventually your own defense, like it just starts to sink in, right? It takes less and less to break that down. When you're having to rely on the offense, well, they want to be out there anyway trying to score the ball. So the more times they can go score the ball, the more excited they get. Not that they don't want a good defense, but I feel like you're seeing everybody right now on LSU's offense elevate their play. And they're doing that out of necessity and ability. Name one thing that LSU can't do offensively. Name one thing.
I don't know.
And now Mason Taylor's back. Jayden Daniels. Here's what makes Jayden Daniels so dangerous, right? It'd be one thing if he was a guy that was just really athletic, out there running around and could hit open receivers like Jalen Milroe is right now, right? Mm-hmm. The first read against A&M was open 70% of the game. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
But Jayden Daniels can get through all his progressions, work the check down or take off. If you bring pressure and you do not get him on the ground, or you play man in the back end and he realizes it at any point in time, he will take off. I don't know a way. It's versatility. Out of all the tilities, versatility and fertility are the 2 best, in my opinion. And LSU, offensively, not defensively, not as a team, but offensively, you turn the faucet off in the run game, that's fine. JD5 will kill you. You turn the faucet off in the passing game, good luck with that. They're running the ball really well right now, and that offensive line's pretty daggum good. So it's just scary. I don't know how you stop them. And I don't think Auburn can win a track meet with LSU. And it seems like every time LSU plays, it's going to be a track meet. So how do you do that? By limiting possessions, right? Do you sit on the ball a little bit? Which takes away the ability to pitch backwards. So no play action on first down if you're running the ball well, which limits deep shots. So it just feels like one of those games where LSU is going to be able to score really easy, and it's going to take Auburn methodically going down the field to be able to score. And that's just never a good recipe.
Well, LSU had to do that last weekend against Missouri, take the air out of the ball, because I don't think they felt like they had a choice with this defense. But I do agree, the man-to-man coverage thing for Jayden this year has been like he's at 89% completion percentage, and then when he runs, he's like Stacy on a mozzarella stick.
Oh, God. First off, it's like Blaine said, I've never seen a human being do to what she did to mozzarella sticks. I actually, we almost wrote a letter to the UN. It was so bad. But we'll tell that story on mozzarella sticks. Did Blaine tell that on here?
No, but
you should have got him to tell it. But here's the scary part. Malik Neighbors, NFL player, right? Overall, I think Malik Neighbors is LSU's best wide receiver. But the scariest one is Brian Thomas Jr.
I agree.
Without a doubt. Look, I've seen big guys play receiver, and sorry, this change of weather, my sinuses, it's just absolute. I love it. It's my favorite time of year. It just doesn't love me. So if I sneeze or anything like that, I'm sorry. But there's not a lot of guys that are that size that move the way that he does. And it's not like, oh, well, he's a long strider. Once he gets going, he's really fast. There's a decent amount of those guys. His acceleration and lateral movement and stop-start is insane to be that big. And he catches the ball away from his body. And listen, LSU's got problems defensively. I'm not going to sit here and come here and pretend like they have problems on offense, but you've got a 6'5", you've got an NBA shooting guard small forward out there running like that and moving like that and has mitts like that. I mean, he's the one that if I was the DC, that's the one that scared me the most. Malik Neighbors, he's big body, good hands, very fundamental. I think Brian Thomas is out there running around, man, and that's still just scary as hell.
And I think he's just scratching the surface. If I mean,
man, that dude, and he's gone though, right? He's junior.
Yeah,
he's gone.
He's gone.
Bye. Yeah, he's gone. See ya.
We got a big game in Seattle this weekend too, Jake. Oregon and Washington. I got to be real with you. I've been pounding the flying V. Give me the Ducks.
Gordon Bombay, baby.
Gordon Bombay, baby. I just don't think that Washington's going to be physical enough. How do you see that going down in Seattle?
Well, I think I put Washington in a similar category as I do USC. Pencil me in as a maybe right now. Not defensively, don't pencil me in as a maybe for USC. I'm not sold. It's going to take a lot of, sell me this pin. Like it's going to take a lot of that to be able to give me believe. But I'm a trust but verify right now with Washington's defense. But when I look at this game, I think you have an elite team in Oregon going to play an elite offense in Washington. And what do I kind of mean by that? I think, and you know how it is, I've seen the Warriors in the NBA miss shots for a couple games in a row. I've seen some of the best teams in Major League Baseball, like the Braves in the playoffs right now, absolutely destroy it during the regular season and not pee a drop in the postseason from a hitting standpoint. There's a couple games, right? You see the Chiefs not have great games offensively. There's always those couple games where the offense doesn't operate at its highest level. If Oregon goes up there and the offense isn't in tip-top, I think they can still win the game because of their defense. But if Washington, who's at home, goes in that game and the offense isn't tip-top, I don't think Washington can win that game. I think Oregon, it's why I picked them to win the Pac-12. It's why I think they're the most complete team, the most balanced team in the Pac-12, and that includes Washington. Now, I think Oregon could win this game a lot more ways than Washington can win this game, if that makes sense.
I'm 1,000% in agreement with you there. But if Washington does go off, my goodness, we got to,
Look, I mean, it's the Pac-12 right now. These next 3, 4, 5 weeks, all the good teams play each other. Like,
I don't know if USC can go to. I know Notre Dame looks like dog shit sometimes.
Dude, I'm telling you, Blake, I'm telling you, you are about. Everybody's talking. They did the same thing to Clemson, right, 2 weeks ago. Like, oh, Clemson just lost their second game to Florida State. Dreams crushed. They're going to give up. It's that dream crusher spot. Then they go out against Syracuse on the road and play probably their best game of the season.
Right.
I'm telling you right now, this Notre Dame team that everybody thinks is going to come out and be all woe is me, they're just going to be pissed. Like, they're going to be pissed. Because guess what? Guess who all the pressure is on now? It's on USC. Notre Dame didn't do anything this year. They're not going to the playoff with 2 losses and no conference championship. Now, they didn't want that. They wanted the pressure. But you blew it. Because you can't count to 11 against Ohio State, and you walked into the Louisville game thinking that you were just going to line up and big boy them, and they shoved you in a locker in front of everybody in the whole high school. Like, and that's what Louisville did the whole game. It was arrogance, which I was shocked to see such an experienced and mature team, especially up front, think that they could go roll their helmet out there. They deserved to lose that game. Louisville won that game. Notre Dame didn't lose it. They forced those turnovers. But when I look at this game, USC, I don't trust defensively. I think Notre Dame is going to take some shots down the field off play action because the run game, it should be hitting, baby. Like Jackie Moon in the 70s, Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl, just hitting. And if it is, I'm telling you, this USC team, I don't trust them. You know what they look like, Blake? You know what this USC team looks like, if we're going to be honest? It looks like every single team that Lincoln Riley's ever had with Alex Grinch. Every single team. Like, at some point, if somebody shows you who they are enough, you have to start believing them. And you can hope in one hand and do something in the other. And I'll tell you which one fills up faster. And I don't think Notre Dame's going to shut down USC offensively for the whole game, but I think Notre Dame's going to control the ball. I think they're going to limit possessions. And I think they're going to be able to take shots downfield off the run game and defensively be able to stop USC enough, despite what I think is going to be a fierce comeback by Caleb Williams in the 4th. He'll make a few incredible plays, right? I think it's going to be enough for Notre Dame to win this game. There's a reason all those lights are on in Vegas. And they have all those big buildings. They got those 2 twins underneath that casino. They got them avatar tails hooked up, telling them the future and everything that's going on. I don't think I know. Robert De Niro can't fool me.
He can't fool me neither. But you know what else is interesting? I saw Colorado, who is 128th in the country at rushing offense, run it down their throat. And they want you to throw.
Blake, Arizona with a backup quarterback, and I love Jed Fish. I'm a huge Jed Fish guy. I think him and Jonathan Smith at Oregon State are 2 of the most underrated coaches in the country. But Arizona with a backup quarterback, there's no way They should have dropped a 41 piece, even though it was in overtime, with Cajun fries and nuggies on that defense. USC, I'm telling you, those couple games, it's coming. That USC schedule, go look at it right now. It's so fat on the back end. It's so heavy on the back end. It's going to flip the truck over if it sits on the bed. Like, it's a 2 to 3 loss team. Oregon's the best team in this conference. All right. And I think a 1-loss Pac-12 team that wins the Pac-12 championship is still getting in, Blake.
Great. Jake, I think they're the best.
They are. Say it. Say it. I've said it. I want to see you say it.
I think they're the best conference in the country.
They are. If we're going to be objective, right? And guess what? You know what? That's okay. That's okay.
Right.
That the SEC, we got Texas and Oklahoma coming in. You've had a ton of quarterback turnover. You think you're worried about the SEC in football? This is an anomaly. That's why tomorrow I'll give you a hint. You know what? You know what I'm leading off the show with?
What?
College football 2023, the year of the Joker. I'm going Chinese on it. It's chaos, man. Now, it may end up being somewhat similar to what we've seen in the back end, but this year, it's just one of those years, man. And in the next 20 years, the SEC will probably be dominant. But sometimes it's okay to let the other guy win the race. Like Talladega Nights.
Right.
Sometimes let Cal Naughton Jr. win one every now and then, man. They're gone. They're leaving. They're the dad going out to get milk and never comes back. Bye, Pac-12. Hey, welcome to Mountain West.
Quarterback, too. Like, the sixth best team might be Oregon State or Utah. Who's the sixth best team in the SEC?
No, dude. Look at the quarterbacks that returned in the Pac-12, and then look at what that's why Arkansas is so disappointing, because you brought back KJ and Rocket, right? Like, the teams that aren't having success that brought back quarterbacks, Will Rogers, Mississippi State, that's what's so disappointing. You're not getting this year again, right? Like, Carson Beck right now is absolutely filleting. It's Chick-fil-A out there with Carson Beck right now.
And, Jake, speaking of them, so let me ask you this, because I wanted to go Oklahoma, but I'll go to Georgia right quick. I don't know what people are talking about with Carson Beck and him not looking good. I don't know where that.
Yeah, that's just people trying to talk themselves out of Georgia being really good. Like, there needs to be like a therapy group full of people that just can't accept that, like, Georgia's developing while winning too. Like, you typically don't see that. I'm going to give a lot of people a hint out there. From a personnel standpoint and roster standpoint, Georgia still may be the best team in the country overall. I know they haven't been great running the ball. They had a bunch of injuries. That offensive line, I mean, Carson Beck's got so much time. It must be so much fun to play quarterback at Georgia. You just sitting back there, hey, am I going to go Brock? Lad's a little beat up. Haru the Great White Ninja, he'll be all right. Or which one of these other Avengers, Ra Thomas, who really hadn't gotten it going, Dominic Lovett, who really hadn't gotten it going. But Georgia, they may not have the star power in the front seven or the names that you've heard, but you turn on that film and it's devastating. It's carnage. That's the reason why everybody was like, guys, watch out. Kentucky against Georgia next week. Could be a big upset. That was the worst matchup ever for Kentucky.
No doubt.
You run gap scheme, 12 personnel, 11 personnel, counter, power. You are a box run team. Going up against that? Going up against those guys? Best of luck. Good luck with that one.
Jake, the team that I was the most wrong about, maybe in my opinion, was Oklahoma. I did not think physically they would be this dominant defensively. But when I saw that goal line stand against Texas last week and them hitting the way that they did, brother, they can do some damage because defensively they're there. What do you think of Oklahoma?
Well, I picked him to go 10-2 before the year. I was high on Brent Venables. I thought it was one of the best hires, when Lanning and them were getting hired and everybody was getting hired. I thought Brent was one of the best ones. He kind of got crucified a little bit because he was kind of late to the party. But sometimes, you got to bide your time. I don't know. Ask somebody like Kirby Smart or some of these guys that didn't jump at the first job. They jumped at the right job. Mm-hmm. But when I look at Oklahoma, I think it tells you two things. Last year, they didn't have the athletes on defense to be able to limit explosive plays. If you got to the second level in the pass game or the run game, you were gone against Oklahoma last year. This year, they've upgraded the athlete. They've had a year to install that culture, that new system. You put Brent Venables and Ted Roof together with good athletes, you're going to get a good product. But I think you saw the grit. It looked to me that Oklahoma was the looser team. It looked to me that Oklahoma was the aggressor in that fight. From the jump, they look like the aggressor in that fight. So I had them going 10-2, and look, right now, I don't see them losing a game till they play Texas again. But I will say, I see Mac Daddy saying Georgia hasn't played anybody. Look, man, I'm not saying they got the hardest schedule, right? But I think if anybody has earned the benefit of the doubt, it is Georgia. And I'm going to tell you something that not a lot of people are talking about. The class before this, The two classes won national championships. They helped turn Georgia into what they're doing now. Nothing is more of a motivating factor to an 18 to 22-year-old man and men in general than embarrassment, or being the class that lets down the streak, or being the senior class that disappoints the two senior classes before them. And Georgia is not playing their best ball right now as good as they looked against Kentucky. I'm saying be very careful when you speak ill on Georgia, because you're giving Kirby exactly what he wants. He doesn't have to manufacture adversity anymore. Y'all are giving it to him. If you want to stop him, stop giving it to him. You're making it easy. You're handing him his dinner and then going and complaining in the kitchen that you're mad he's eating. You can't have both.
That's what makes this Ole Miss game a little intriguing to me. What can Lane do, coming off of that? They don't have the personnel, but I do find it intriguing. Jake, they got a tight end walk-on number 86 running the football. That's how beat up they are, right? Like, I mean, come on.
Who did you were kind of breaking up there, Blake. Who did you say?
The tight end 86, the walk-on or former walk-on tight end, he's running the football for Georgia.
Oh, dude, look, they got a white guy running back named Cash. Do I have to say anything else? Do y'all need any more convincing?
Right.
Horrifying? And guess what? He's good. He's good. And he played in like half a ball, right? Basically in somebody's backyard next to the lemonade stand that the kids are setting up in the neighborhood. I'm just telling you. See, wait till Ladd McConkey comes back. You think it's bad now? Ladd McConkey is an absolute menace to society. All right? I'm telling you, sleep at Georgia in your own will. Don't make that mistake.
I call him the Mahonky.
That's what he is.
Yeah, the Mahonky.
Right,
last one for you. I'll get you out of here. What do we – not what do we, but what happens at A&M now?
Well, now we're going to find out, okay? Number one, does anybody – and I'm just to this point because, I think A&M and people laugh, oh, you always say next year. I'm not one of those guys that said next year is going to be their year for 8 straight years. I've only been doing this for 3 years. But I do think next year will be their best year. But having said that, we're living in reality, and nobody gets friend zoned more than A&M. Like,
no, right.
Yeah, I mean, A&M is the guy that, he's holding hands with the girl. You may get a kiss on the cheek every now and then. You're just not – you never make that move. Never make that next move, right? Sometimes you got to go take it. It seems like every time LSU is always the bridesmaid and never the bride when it comes down to it. So if they lose this one, which I think they are, Blake, to Tennessee this weekend.
I picked Tennessee too, yeah.
And they go 4-3. Now's when you're about to find out, because this is a de facto elimination game for the SEC championship for Tennessee and A&M. Tennessee loses, that's 2 SEC losses. You can still beat Georgia and not win the tiebreaker because that'll be the only loss Georgia has. A&M, you lose this one, right? And now you have another conference loss. You're not getting in, not losing the tiebreaker to Bama the way that it went down. And then you got to go. Where do y'all play them? Do they come to y'all's place or y'all go to
theirs? A&M comes to Baton Rouge.
Oh, God.
Had no success in.
Oh, it's a bad time, Bob. It's a bad time, Bob. Better win this one.
And Jake, here's the thing. I think they're the best front seven in college football.
They are. That's the saddest part, Blake.
That's the sad. Like, for example, so everybody was talking about Auburn, okay, and we were talking about it this week. Oh, Auburn this, Auburn that. Bullshit. They play the two most physical teams in the SEC last 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. Why Alabama just ran for 23 yards. Okay, and I know Alabama's not the greatest rushing offense of all time. Watch A&M's front seven. It's devastating. My hair keeps sticking out.
31 yards rushing.
Dude, watch the front. Like if you just, I always challenge our listeners to do this. I'm turning my head around. This drives me crazy. All right. I challenge our listeners to do this. Watch the next A&M game. Watch this game against Tennessee, and don't watch the ball. Just when Texas A&M's on defense, and you can see it from the side camera, watch that front seven. Watch what those defensive linemen are doing, just physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to the other offensive line. That's what makes how bad they are in the back end even that much worse, because they are elite. I'm talking about maybe number one in the country elite in the box.
No question. And Jake, the bad part is one of my buddies that was in my wedding has been a scout in the NFL for 12 years. He goes, Blake, I count 5 dudes on that defensive line probably going to go in the first round.
It's like playing the Warriors, to use another Warriors reference. You can't double all of them.
No, you can't. They're trying, like, legitimately, when I watched A&M and Auburn this week on the All-22, their DNs get chipped more than anybody in the country, and it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It helps them. You're taking a guy out of an early route.
Correct.
Like the backs having to stay in and just pray to God, right? It's so nice to not have to run stunt. It's so nice to not, and they're not the best pass rushing. I'm talking about against the run. Like Edger and Cooper and these guys, they're going in there. It's reckless abandon. I mean, it's NC-17. It's, you watch it like this.
And the bad thing is there were 2 times that Bama kept in 7 to block, and A&M rushed 4 and got home and sacked both times. That's the thing for me. All right, Jake Crain and Company,
6:30 to 8 a.m. Central.
Okay, Central time.
7:30 to 9 a.m. Eastern, and those are all the time zones I know. So you live in another one. Like, you're just gonna have to do the math on that.
I love it, buddy. I love you having on the show. Thank you.
Love you too, man. How's the fam?
Good. Son's getting big. Daughter's getting.
God, I bet. Yeah. Is he already committed to LSU yet, or what? Don't lie to me,
dude. So he just got selected for this like little league baseball travel thing, and I'm like,
I bet he's dropping tanks.
Well, Tommy Tanks is his favorite player. He hit one. He hits one out. This is not bullshit. He hits one out, and he goes, "Daddy, I'm not playing football no more."
I'm telling you, man, that home run, it's a different. And people say I'm crazy. They say I'm crazy. Like, I didn't score a ton of touchdowns. I scored a couple of them. But hitting that ball so far, it goes out of play, and you get to run around the bases in front of all your friends.
Well, so, because, Jake, we not trying to be that dude. We get some privileges in this profession.
For sure.
So I bring him to his first ever college baseball game. Tommy Tanks walks up. We dap up, me and Tanks. I say, "Hey, this is my son Ben," and he hits. He's like,
"Oh yeah,
jaw
it's a real thing."
Like,
what a great dad moment! What a great dad moment!
I had to turn around. I was about to cry.
Oh, dude, I don't blame you. Shoot, I'm crying. I'm gonna cry when we get off here.
Jake, thank you so much, buddy. We'll talk.
Hey,
soon.
Blake, it's always fun, buddy. Have a great night.
You too. That's Jake Crain and Company, the best. That's why the dude's the best. Insanely fantastic.